Hi. Let's go to the story. Yes. So this is a COVID-19 timeline analysis which I did on Tableau, and I'm going to show the analysis. Here you can see a picture of the globe. So the main problems that I studied here was what are the probable factors that affected towards the spreading of COVID-19, and a general analysis of the data that I have. Okay, so this shows a picture of the whole world, the average total cases per million. Andorra, Europe has the highest total number of cases per million across the globe. Andorra, I won't be able to show you here. It's a place in Europe. Okay, and see if I just show Albania and Andorra, you'll be able to spot, say, Bulgaria, Croatia. So I'll show all these things as well. Yeah, so see, it's somewhere here. Okay. Zakia, I don't know how to pronounce this, but it is also reporting very high cases, and the maximum is here in Andorra. Okay, if I check for Asia, wait a moment, it's not coming. Acha, it's because of the okay. Yeah. So if I check for Asia, yeah, see. So this is India, which is 9,592 total cases average per million. Here you can see Israel reporting quite high, Georgia to be very high, and it's around what 56,224, and we saw Israel, Qatar. Okay, so like this you can move your mouse to the places and regions to see what is the data for that particular place. Kuwait, Qatar reporting quite high, right? Georgia to be very high. That is how you can study this particular analysis. This shows the average total cases per million across the globe, and this particular picture of the globe shows the average total deaths per million, which is the highest, 3,335 for Peru here. Okay, and now again, if I want to study for, say, Asia, the highest death I think was reported by not Georgia, Armenia, 924.7. Average total deaths per million. You can see for India it is 137.2. Like this you can check for the rest. Next part, here you have for year wise filtering can be done. I can check all of the years together. And also for per year, let's just check for 2020 and say for the continent Asia. You can see that Georgia is the highest. If I don't check it only for Asia, let's check for all. Yeah, so for all, let's see, Andorra is the highest. Okay, highest average new cases. Here the difference is that it's not showing the total cases but the new cases for 2020. Highest average new cases for 2020 is Andorra, and the darkest shade of purple will show the highest average new deaths in 2020. I think that's somewhere here. See, Peru. That is for 2020, and this is what I've written here per million, and Peru is deaths per million for 2020. Okay. What is the scenario for 2021? It has slightly changed. It has become Seychelles. Okay. So Seychelles highest new cases per million, and if I want to check the highest, see, Georgia is again here, it's in third position for highest new cases in 2021, with reporting also very high new deaths per million. Montenegro is there. So it's a whole world that we're studying. Uh, Darkest shade of purple. Okay, I'm not able to spot it currently, but yeah, see Peru again. Nothing has changed. Peru is reporting to have the highest death. New deaths per million for 2021. Moving on to the next, so before I move on to the next part, let's just quickly check for Asia. It's Georgia. 2021, Georgia, highest cases and highest deaths also. Very high share of purple, you can see. Okay. This particular analysis shows the average new cases per million for 2020, 2021 and the forecast as well. Okay. Average new deaths per million and average people vaccinated. So here this is shown for India. You can also relate to that relate to this analysis very well, because we all experienced what happened. We know that in 2020 the COVID thing coming, people were so much worried about it, and then it actually struck us hard around in September when everything got shut down. Not September, I mean, it was a lockdown happened much before that, but September reached to a very high peak of average new cases, that is 62.7, with a very high death also, that is around 0.799. Not so high as compared to the world, but higher for our country. So India, we know that India did not report very high deaths as compared to the rest of the world, right? But in 2021, when the cases went very down towards the end of 2020 and beginning of 2021, people were so happy again, the things were coming back to normal. The second wave of COVID hit us bad, right? And it was around May when it reached to its average. You can see it was in the month of May, which average new cases per million reached to its peak, 208.6. And the deaths also reached its peak to 2.779, right? And then again it has slowly decreased, and to the current situation now. The forecast is that it will stabilize around 23.3 new cases per million, but we hope that it will reach zero. For deaths also, it has reached near to zero. Okay, and we're hoping that it will be zero, right? The forecast will be depending on the trend that we have. Vaccination was zero for 2020. The no vaccines were discovered that time, but in 2021 we got the vaccines. Vaccination started from when? It's showing that it has data February. Yeah, they were at the initial stages of vaccination, and then it is going up. We know that we are going to fully vaccinate all of our citizens, right? We are going to have a fully vaccinated country. We hope to have that by the next year, right? Yeah. So now moving on to the factors affecting COVID spread, that is specifically studying for Asia. Let's just change this. Yeah. Specifically, if we're going to study for Asia, we can change it to some other continents also. See here the filters. Alright. We can change it to all, or we can change it to only Asia. So let's just focus on Asia and go to the story. Let's see whether if the proportion of population living, proportion of population above the age of 65 and older. So if that is high, say in Japan it's the highest for Asia, In Qatar, the GDP, so this is talking about the GDP, and this is the age 65 years and older, the population proportion that has population with age 65 years and older. Corresponding to that, we are going to see the new cases and the new deaths. Okay, so this is kind of a visualization with respect to what we'll try to find out whether this age and GDP might affect the new cases or the deaths. Now let's check what's the scenario for Georgia. The highest frequency is 27.05 for Japan, and the highest GDP is around 1,16,000 for Qatar. Okay, so our observation here is that higher the population proportion with elderly people and lower the GDP, the average new cases and average new deaths tend to be on a higher side. Obviously, right? That's a general observation, but if you check for India, it's not going to be the same scenario. We know that uh, India's old or elderly population is not that high, but neither very low. Okay, it's moderate, we can say, right? But the average new cases for India for both the years 2020 and 2021 is comparatively on the lower side, right? And the GDP of India is not also at a very good position right now. Okay, it's, where is India? I just saw that. Somewhere here, I just missed it. Anyway, so and the deaths also, death rate or the average new deaths were comparatively lower for India. Let's just click on this and check. Yeah, see, new cases 37.55 and deaths are 0.5, which is less. GDP 6,000 something, which is quite low, on the lower side only, right? So according to this, though it has moderate old age people, therefore it's yeah, you can see that the average new cases are less, and also the average new deaths for both the years. Let's check for Georgia, which has the highest average new cases, and see what is its old age population. Yeah, see, it's the third position. So it has high elderly population. Okay, and its GDP is also on the lower side, around 9,000 something. We just found them here. Yeah, right. So if I click here, you'll be able to see the old age population is quite high, third in the position, highest number of new cases and highest deaths. So GDP on the lower side, uh, age, the elderly population on the higher side. You can see that the average new cases are more and the deaths are also more. Though new cases and deaths are not related to each other. It's not that if the average new cases are more, the average new deaths are also going to be more. But yeah, if only the average new cases are more, then only the deaths can have a chance of being more, right? So that way we can look at it. But in India, we saw that the GDP is low and the average population, average elderly population is on the moderate side, not very high. Its cases are also moderate. That's why, as I said. Let's move on to the next part. That is, let's see whether there's an effect of diabetes and poverty. So there might be an effect of diabetes prevalence and poverty on COVID, but from this data, it is not that much prevalent, all right? So we concluded that there is not much significant effect on COVID spread as observed from the data due to diabetes prevalence or poverty. Let's just randomly check for this high diabetic prevalences in Saudi Arabia. Let's check the new cases. It's on the lower side. Death is also on the lower side. Poverty is showing zero. Either there is no data on it, or I don't know, maybe there is no proper data. Anyway, so you can see that the average new cases are less, 24.79, which is, I mean, very less as compared to 318, or yeah, so on the very very lower side, right? So it's not that if there's high diabetes prevalence, there will be high, I mean, more new cases are there or high deaths as well, because um, why did we find this one? Saudi Arabia, it's here. So deaths are also on the lower side, right? Poverty, there's no data. Let's check for Georgia. Diabetes prevalence is not that high. Poverty is also not that high. 7.11 for diabetes prevalence, where we have 17, right? So it's on the very lower side, Georgia. Yeah, on the lower side of diabetes prevalence. And also poverty, from 30 to it's very less, somewhere here. Yeah, how did I see it? Yeah, 4.2. Therefore, it's not that high poverty or high diabetes prevalence has triggered the more COVID cases in Georgia, right? Moving on to the smoking part, the proportion of population with female smokers and male smokers. Smoking might have some significant effect on COVID spread, because if you see the data, Lebanon with average smokers 26.90 female, and for males highest is for Timor. Let's check the COVID cases for Timor. Not very high, as you can see, but deaths are also on the lower side. This was also on the lower side, but female smokers more or less, you can say. But according to our general knowledge, or my general knowledge, I don't have much knowledge on this, um, whether smoking at all, but help, I mean, smoking at all causes COVID. I mean, it will not cause COVID, of course, but whether if you are affected by COVID, and if you're a smoker, then you're supposed to, your lungs are already affected, and COVID affects the lungs uh, much seriously. We all know that people, die mostly of the breathing troubles and all that, oxygen deficiency. So maybe, I'm not very sure, but maybe smoking might have some effect on the COVID spread. Let's check for Georgia. What's the scenario for Georgia? 55. So you can see that there are kind of in Georgia with very high new cases. It's male smoker and female smoker population proportion is on the higher side, right? Though we did not find much satisfactory information of Timor, but for Georgia, see, it's here, third third highest population proportion of smokers, and for females also it's on the higher side. Okay, and yeah, so we can say maybe it has some significant effect. Let's check for Lebanon. Um, See, new cases are quite high, death is also quite high. Very high female smokers, and male smokers are also on the higher side. So, yes. So, maybe, smoking has some significant effect on the COVID spread. Next one, this I think is a very important factor, that is higher the hand washing facility and higher the human development index, lower should be the COVID spread, right? Okay. So let's check. See, for Turkmenistan, if I see, it has very high hand washing facilities. Okay, and HDI is highest for Hong Kong, and Turkmenistan is somewhere here, which is not less. Highest is 0.9, it's around 7, so on the higher moderate side, you can say. Let's see its new cases. Okay, we don't have any data for the new cases for Turkmenistan and new deaths. I'm not very sure whether there is no data or actually no cases. Um, But this is a scenario, right? Let's check for Hong Kong. New cases are very less. Death is also almost near to zero. But again, you can see there is no data on hand washing facility, so it's hard to believe. Let's just check for Georgia now. Okay, Georgia has no information on hand washing facility. It has got the highest number of new reported cases and the highest deaths, with human development index though on the higher side, but hand washing facility, you can see there is either no data or maybe almost negligible hand washing facility, which is quite alarming for Georgia. We can see, let's check for Maldives. Okay, Maldives, it's on the higher side for both, still new cases, but still I'm not going to, though it's not giving a very direct relationship, but I'll still consider this hand washing facility in HTI to be very important factors, because for Georgia we saw the scenario. It might not be same for every country, because there might be some other factors affecting, but I'm not going to totally say that hand washing facility and HDI will not have any effect on the COVID spread, because we know that in order to fight with COVID, the most preliminary thing that we were told is that to be always uh, clean ourselves, to go on cleaning ourselves every time we go out, wash our hands regularly before eating, before don't you put hands on your face and all that. So all these are normal basic hygiene that we were taught, so I'm not going to totally rule out this factor. Can I check for India? I'm just curious. It's difficult to find India. India was around 20 something. I just missed it. Yeah, 37.5. Acha, India has moderate hand washing facility and its HDI is okay, at least more than 60%. So yeah, its cases are less, right? So some kind of effect, yes, I'm sure it will have. Population density and vaccination, obviously if you have more people vaccinated, you are supposed to have less new cases, but from the data we could not find much. What is this? This is United Arab Emirates with highest vaccination. Average people vaccinated. Okay, per 100, but you can see cases are also on the higher side. Not much effect. Deaths are there. Population density is 112 as well. Okay. Which is not on the higher side, but yes. So it's a normal thing that if you get more people vaccinated, then you're supposed to have less number of new cases. But for United Arab Emirates, we can see it's not that. It's not showing a very similar picture. So no significant effect could be seen from the data, right? Because if I check for Georgia again, supposed to have very less people vaccinated. And here we have 10.54. Population density 65.03, which is on the lower side only. 65.03 is, it's yeah, on the very lower side, Georgia. See, and the vaccinated people. Okay, vaccination was 10 point something, so yes, it's on the lower side also. Supposed to be. Right. So for population density, we cannot find any significant effect, but for vaccination, yes. Okay, so I'm going to change this a bit. this is one observation that I added here, that yes, vaccination, obviously if we're having more people vaccinated, it's supposed to decrease our number of cases, and that's what we could see. Let's check for China. It's supposed to have very less new cases. Yeah, almost negligible. Okay, so yeah. Now the reproduction rate. Okay, so it might have some significant effect on COVID spread. If you're having higher reproduction rate, you're supposed to have, more number of new cases. Hmm. Like for Georgia, it's higher. It's 1.088. So yeah, kind of, yes, you can say might have. That's why I wrote might have a significant effect on COVID spread. Not pretty distinct, but yes, it might have. So that's all about this COVID-19 timeline analysis. Thank you.